bloodstream of hidden secrets, gold seekers. Jason sat by the campfire, his eyes gleaming like the flames, listening intently to the mysterious tales from Grandma Margaret. The fire danced, casting flickering shadows on the walls, as if illustrating the stories she was about to share. He had heard her speak about gold-seeking adventures many times, but each time felt like a new journey, filled with hope and dread. In the deep forests, where sunlight can't reach, Grandma Margaret began, her voice rising and falling like the sounds of the woods. There are streams said to flow with gold, but no one can ever be sure they'll return safely after searching. The brave men who ventured in have often fallen victim to horrifying tales. Jason bit his lip, feeling a surge of excitement mixed with fear. She told him of places said to be rich with gold, like the bloodstream in the northern mountains, where precious stones shimmer under the sun. But according to rumors, it's a place where many have mysteriously vanished, leaving only their agonizing screams echoing through the forest. They say there was a group that found the bloodstream, Grandma Margaret said, her eyes growing as deep as the darkest pits. They dug up solid gold, but just as they started celebrating, a cold wind blew. They heard maniacal laughter, sounds like the cries of restless spirits. Then they disappeared, never to be seen again. A chill ran down Jason's spine as images of ghostly figures flashed in his mind. He couldn't imagine the cold, lonely feeling of being lost in the foggy woods, where eerie sounds reminded you of the presence of things beyond explanation. And then there's the Death Stream, an even more infamous place, she continued. It's said to be where many lovers lost each other in their quest for gold. Blood was shed in greed. They say that if you go there at midnight, you'll see the spirits of couples searching for each other, hand in hand, but their eyes full of terror. Her story captivated Jason more than ever. Vivid images of gold seekers, thrilling adventures, and mysterious deaths filled his mind. Jason felt as if he were standing in the heart of the deep forest, where darkness and light intertwined, where gold and death coexisted. The forest doesn't just hold treasure, Grandma Margaret paused. It also hides secrets that humans cannot fully understand. Some things should never be disturbed. Gold may bring happiness, but it can also lead to tragedy, and the greedy will always pay the price. Jason nodded, but inside his curiosity only grew stronger. He wanted to know more about the streams, the adventures, and the secrets that Grandma Margaret hinted at. "Grandma, are these stories really true?" Jason asked, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. "My dear, stories are not just about what happened, but about what people believe," she replied. "Rumors aren't just truth. They're filled with hidden fears. Now, are you ready for a bigger story?" The fire blazed brightly, illuminating Jason's face. He nodded eagerly, and Grandma Margaret's story began weaving a mysterious tapestry, drawing him into a world of endless quests where gold and death always went hand in hand. The footsteps of gold seekers, the screams from the deep forest, and the fleeting shadows of ghosts like distant memories were all waiting for Jason to uncover. The Thompson family lived in a small rural town where life was always hard and laborious. Alex and Ben's parents had toiled tirelessly on the fields for years, but the harvests never yielded enough to support their modest lives. Day after day, they dreamed of one simple thing: to have enough money to make it through. However, when they heard rumors of the Sacred Mountain, a place said to have a stream flowing with gold, their distant dreams suddenly felt within reach. Alex, the elder brother, was always calm and responsible. He dreamed of earning enough from this journey to build a small house for his family and start a home of his own. Meanwhile, Ben, Alex's younger brother, had different dreams. He not only wanted a better life, but he also longed to create his own farm, where he could grow crops, raise animals, and live independently. Joining them were three close friends. Ethan, a cheerful young man with a bright smile, always seeking new opportunities to escape his current life. Ethan's dream was to solve his immediate problems so he could live a carefree life, spending time with friends without worrying about money. Then there was Lily, a gentle girl whom Ethan secretly loved. She dreamed of giving her lover a fulfilled life where they could build beautiful memories together. Lastly, there was Max, a brave young man with a heart full of passion. Max didn't just want gold for himself. He dreamed of making a fortune so he could move to the city, pursue business opportunities, and become a successful man. Each of them had their own reasons for embarking on this journey, but above all, they shared a common dream: to seek a better future. As the sun began to set, the sky painted in shades of red, the group was ready for their adventure. They gathered their essentials: a few sets of clothes, light snacks, water, and, of course, tools for gold panning. Although their hearts were filled with anticipation, hope burned brightly within each of them. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but the desire for a brighter future gave them the strength to overcome any obstacle. "We're going to find gold and change our lives," Alex said with determination in his eyes. Ben nodded, his heart equally filled with hope. They stepped into the deep forest, where towering ancient trees reached up like giant arms, blocking out the sunlight. The sounds of the forest echoed around them, birds chirping, mingling with the whispers of the wind. Their footsteps echoed on the path, but each person felt as though they were stepping into a thrilling adventure. They weren't just searching for gold. They were uncovering the hidden secrets of the deep woods, where eerie tales of lost gold and wandering spirits lingered. Each one had their own dreams, their own desires, and they were ready to face their fears to find what they longed for. "Together, we'll overcome everything," Ethan shouted, breaking the tense atmosphere. Everyone laughed, and the fear that had been lingering in their hearts seemed to dissipate. They began their journey with faith and hope. Courage and determination led them into a new world where dreams and nightmares intertwined. Their adventure had begun. They knew the road ahead would be full of challenges, but also filled with wonders waiting to be discovered. Would they find gold? Would their dreams come true? Time would answer those questions. But for now, they had enough reasons to keep moving forward. At dawn, the golden sunlight cast a warm glow over the lush green fields. The Thompson family and their three friends were ready for the gold-seeking journey. Alex, the eldest brother, had mapped out a detailed plan and took on the responsibility of leading the way. With excitement and determination, the group set off. Their steps gradually took them farther from home, leaving behind their worries and fatigue. They walked down narrow paths, crossed fields and forests, occasionally hearing birds chirping. The fresh, vibrant air seemed to energize them all. By midday, the sun was high, casting long shadows on the ground. They stopped at an open clearing for lunch. Each of them had brought a little food, and they sat together, sharing simple meals from bread to fruit. Laughter and lively conversation filled the air, making the atmosphere cheerful. Ben, with his sense of humor, recounted memorable family stories that had everyone laughing. After lunch, they resumed their journey. Alex led the way, followed closely by Ethan, Lily, Max, and Ben at the rear. The path became steeper and more rugged, demanding focus and caution. Sunlight was gradually blocked by the canopy of trees, the air cooler, giving them a refreshing boost. However, the excitement was short-lived as dark clouds began to gather in the sky and daylight slowly faded. As dusk approached, The group decided to find a place to rest near a small stream. They built a campfire to ward off the cold and create a sense of security. The flames danced, flickering like lanterns in the dark. Everyone gathered around the fire, sharing stories of their dreams, their hearts filled with hope for a bright future. But as night fell, the chill of the deep forest set in. The wind howled, branches swayed, creating eerie sounds. Jason, in a half-dreaming state, sensed something unusual. The whispers, like murmured calls from distant ghosts, echoed through the night. He tried to push away negative thoughts, but the tension was undeniable. "Don't worry, it's just the sounds of the forest," Alex reassured the group, though his voice carried a hint of unease. The night grew colder, and everyone wrapped themselves tightly in their blankets, but no one could shake off the unsettling feeling lingering around them. As the fire dwindled, everyone gradually drifted off to sleep. But none of them could have predicted that in the quiet of that night, something terrible was beginning. The atmosphere grew heavy, as if the forest itself was waiting for something. Cold winds blew through every crack, and the sound of branches scraping against each other echoed like a ghostly melody. In his sleep, Jason dreamt of shadowy figures swirling around him, with whispers calling him. He tried to open his eyes but saw nothing but thick darkness. His breathing blended with the silence of the deep forest, creating an indescribable sense of unease. The cold seeped into his skin, making it impossible to sleep peacefully. It felt as if eyes were watching them from the branches, from the shadows surrounding them. As sleep began to take over, dark thoughts invaded his mind. Would they have to endure whatever mysteries awaited them in this night? The forest remained silent, as if holding secrets that only the brave would dare uncover. Dreams and fears intertwined, creating a journey where no one knew what lay ahead. While the others were deep in slumber, Alex suddenly sensed something wasn't right. He opened his eyes, listening to the stillness of the forest. But within that quiet, he heard a strange sound, like something moving in the nearby bushes. His heart raced as he turned towards the source of the noise, his gaze locked on the spot where the sound had come from. "Did you hear that?" Alex whispered, trying not to disturb the fragile peace. The others around him slowly opened their eyes, their expressions curious yet filled with concern. They listened closely and heard it again, the rustling sound, growing louder, shaking the leaves and branches. "What the hell is that?" Max asked quietly, his face pale. Everyone felt a rising tension, the air around them growing heavy, making it hard to breathe. All eyes turned toward the source of the noise, anxiety filling their minds. Alex stood up, gripping a stick tightly in his hand. "It could be some kind of animal. We need to be cautious," he reminded the group. A tense atmosphere enveloped them as they all braced for whatever might happen next. The sound continued, and suddenly, from the shadows, a large dark figure emerged, catching everyone's attention. It had thick fur and a massive body, scavenging for food in the forest. The bear didn't seem to notice them, focused instead on the stream, quenching its thirst. But its presence filled the group with terror. "Run!" Ethan shouted, but Alex quickly pulled him back. "No, don't make noise. It could become aggressive." They didn't want to provoke the bear, but they also couldn't let it linger nearby. "We need to scare it away," Lily suggested. In unison, they waved their sticks and shouted loudly to create a disturbance. "Hey, go away!" Max yelled, his voice echoing through the forest like a reflection of their growing panic. The bear turned its head, seeming to finally sense the humans nearby. It stood still for a moment, then lowered its head again, still focused on drinking. Alex couldn't wait any longer. He picked up a rock and threw it toward the bear, shouting, "Get out of here!" The rock hit a nearby branch, making an even louder noise. The bear, startled, turned its head towards the group, its eyes flashing with anger. "Quick, scare it off," Jason shouted, and the group all yelled in unison, their voices filling the forest with echoes. Finally, the bear, unable to withstand the noise in their presence, turned and retreated into the darkness of the deep woods, leaving behind a collective sigh of relief. The group exhaled, but their hearts were still racing with lingering fear. "That was quite the experience," Ben panted, his eyes still wide with worry. "We can't let that happen again. We have to be more careful." "We need to keep moving," Alex said. "There may be worse things waiting for us ahead." Even though they had driven the bear away, the feeling of unease still hung in the air like a ghost lingering around them. They decided to sit by the fire, keeping warm and sharing stories to chase away their fears. But deep down, the fear in each of them had not fully faded. They knew the forest held many more mysteries and dangers, things they couldn't yet imagine. And their journey to search for gold, with all their dreams and desires, had officially begun amidst a setting filled with mystery and peril. The group eventually fell into a deep sleep, quietly forgetting the earlier worries and fears. Then, strange visions began to appear. From beneath the dark stream, a head emerged from the water. Its eyes, deep and full of mystery, stared directly at Lily with an indescribable eeriness. The head looked like that of a fish, yet it had a grotesqueness that no human could ever forget. Water slowly dripped down, revealing a body black as sludge, slick and smooth like mud. As the creature began to crawl out of the stream, Lily felt fear spread through her entire body. It had legs and webbed feet, moving with a fluid yet horrifying grace. Its hands had long, sharp claws as if ready to grab whatever it desired. And as Lily's eyes trailed down its monstrous form, she realized it had a long tail. Lily couldn't contain the rising terror. She tried to stand, but her body felt frozen. The creature drew closer, so close that she could feel its chilling presence. "No!" she screamed in a fit of panic, her voice echoing through the forest. Her scream woke everyone. Alex jumped up, eyes wide. "Lily, are you okay?" But Lily's scream seemed to hang in the air like a call to the unknown. I don't know." Lily stammered, panic in her voice, her eyes still wide as she stared into the dark space where the creature had appeared in her dream. It was coming for me." The group, now fully awake, gathered around Lily, trying to comfort her. Alex, the older brother, reassured her. "It was just a dream, Lily. There's nothing to be afraid of." But deep inside, even he felt a growing sense of worry. "But it felt so real," Lily said, her voice trembling. "The head, those eyes, it wasn't like anything I've ever seen. It felt like it was coming to grab me." Max, the quiet but always calm friend, held Lily's hand. "Try to breathe steadily. Don't let fear take over," he said, though he couldn't shake the sense of mystery closing in around them. While none of them could see the creature, each one felt the coldness creeping through the air. "We should leave here by morning," Ben suggested, his anxiety showing in his eyes. "These strange things aren't just coincidences. This place might hold secrets we don't know about." The night in the forest grew even more still, like a trap waiting to swallow those brave enough to enter. They all sat close together, filled with anxiety about what they might face in the coming days. Lily's dream wasn't just a nightmare. It felt like a warning of the strange things awaiting them in the deep woods. As dawn broke, the fresh morning breeze swept away the fears of the previous night. Jason, Alex, Lily, Max, and Ben warmed themselves, feeling the rejuvenation brought by the sunlight. The fear gradually faded, replaced by renewed hope and dreams. They were determined to continue, each of them holding on to the deep reasons they couldn't give up. Today will be a big step forward, Alex said, his eyes shining with excitement. We're almost there. The gold is waiting for us. The group nodded, the excitement replacing their fatigue. They packed their belongings and began their journey into the heart of the forest. With every step, they felt closer to their dream. But none of them knew the tragedy that awaited them ahead. As the sunlight began to dim, they stopped by a small stream, its crystal-clear waters trickling with a sound like distant music in the ancient woods. After a brief rest, they decided to continue their journey into the night. The second night began, but quietly, the worries crept back in. When darkness fully enveloped them, an eerie silence settled over the group. Only the sounds of their breathing and footsteps on the damp ground broke the quiet. Suddenly, Alex called out, "Wait, I don't feel right about this." "Keep going," Max encouraged. "We can't stop now." But less than an hour later, the silence was shattered by a scream that echoed through the night. Max, always steady, had been bitten by a snake. They rushed to him, but the venom spread rapidly. Max collapsed to the ground in agony. "Lily, do you have any medicine?" Jason shouted in panic. Lily rummaged through her backpack, but all she had were a few painkillers. "I don't have any anti-venom," she cried, her voice filled with despair. The next moments felt like a nightmare. Max lay there, his face pale and writhing in pain. "Help! Please save me," he struggled to say, but his voice was growing weaker with each word. They tried everything they could, but all their efforts were in vain. In the darkness, with only the flickering fire for light, they could do nothing but look at each other with pained, desperate eyes. "We have to call for help," Ben shouted, but deep in the forest no one could hear their cries. A few hours later, Max didn't make it. The pain wasn't just from losing a friend, but also from the vivid memories of his hopes and dreams. They had set out together with grand ambitions, but now everything had dissolved into nothing. The fire had dimmed, like their dreams slowly fading away. "We should give up," Ethan whispered, his heart heavy. "Let's go back." The night grew darker, the weight of sorrow and the difficult decisions ahead pressing down on them. They were deep in the forest, a place where mystery and danger lurked at every turn. "Let's sleep," Ben said, his eyes clouded with grief. "Tomorrow will decide everything." As the darkness swallowed them, they tried to sleep, but none of them truly rested. Nightmares waited in the shadows. The next morning, the weak light of the sun filtered through the canopy, as if trying to pull them from the nightmare of the night before. Ethan, Alex, Lily, and Ben were all somber. They knew one of them was gone, and with that pain came the harsh decision: continue or turn back. "I don't know if we should keep going," Alex mumbled, his voice heavy with sorrow. "We lost Max. Is it worth risking more? But if we give up now, Max's sacrifice will be in vain." Lily's voice cut through, strong and determined. "He wouldn't want us to quit. Remember our dreams." "I agree with Lily," Ben said, his eyes filled with resolve. "We've come this far, and we're only a short way from our goal. If we stop now, everything we've done will be meaningless, and Max's death would be for nothing." Alex looked into each of their eyes, seeing fear and determination mixed together. Finally, he took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. "We need to decide soon. Today, we'll bury Max, and then we'll make our final decision." With that decision made, the group began preparing a small ceremony to say goodbye to Max. They found a flat patch of ground, surrounded by trees that seemed to form a warm embrace. It was a beautiful yet cold setting, much like their current situation. Silently, they worked, digging a shallow grave and placing Max inside, along with his most cherished belongings. Jason placed a bracelet Max used to wear, while Lily left behind a picture of the group from a previous camping trip. They whispered prayers and shared fond memories of Max, tears slipping down their faces. Once the ceremony was over, they stood up, feeling heavy but also a small sense of peace. Every loss has its meaning, and they promised themselves that Max's death would not be in vain. "We will keep going," Jason decided, feeling a new strength rise within him. "We'll do this not just for ourselves, but for Max." The group nodded, determination flickering in their eyes. They had chosen the difficult path, but now, with that resolve, they were no longer afraid. They began walking, leaving Max's grave behind, carrying with them the memories and the unbreakable bonds they shared. As the morning sunlight once again shone down, their hearts filled with hope. They knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but each step carried a piece of Max's spirit. They promised to keep going, to pursue their dreams, and never forget the friend they lost. But amidst the dreams and hope, a new danger was lurking, and this peace was only temporary. Deep within the forest, mysteries still awaited them, and their true journey had only just begun. After days of hardship and effort, they finally arrived at their destination, the rumored area where gold was said to be plentiful. The exhaustion on their faces seemed to fade in that moment. They looked at one another, their smiles bright, and joyful laughter echoed through the silent wilderness. But as the excitement settled, a question flashed through their minds. Where do we start? There were no clear signs marking the exact location of the gold. The terrain around them was dense and complicated, and they were left with only a vague sense of direction. "Let's split up and scout the area," Alex suggested, his voice determined. "We can't miss this opportunity. Let's find a good spot to begin." The group nodded and split into pairs, searching along the stream where they believed the gold would be concentrated. Each of them carried great hope in their hearts, believing that soon they'd uncover the treasure that would turn their dreams into reality. Suddenly, a loud shout rang out from the distance, shattering the quiet. "I found it," Alex yelled, his voice brimming with joy. Everyone rushed over, their hearts pounding with anticipation. When they arrived, they saw Alex holding small nuggets of gold, sparkling in the sunlight. "It's not much, but it's a start," Alex said, his face glowing with happiness. "We found gold." Their joy was overwhelming, and they immediately got to work. They spread out, searching nearby areas, hoping to uncover more. Shovels and pans dipped into the stream, and everyone busied themselves with the task of panning for gold. No one noticed the strange sounds that occasionally echoed from the forest or the creeping chill that surrounded them. Ben, with his strong hands and relentless determination, dug deeper into the stream. Suddenly, his shovel struck something hard. At first, Ben thought it might be a large rock, but as he pulled it out of the water, an eerie feeling washed over him. He looked down, and instead of gold, a skull stared back at him. Ben's skin crawled as he realized it wasn't something harmless. "Damn it," he muttered, quickly tossing the skull back into the water and stumbling away in a rush. "Everyone, I just found a skull," Ben gasped, his eyes wide with terror. The group stopped what they were doing and gathered around. They stared at the murky water where Ben had tossed the skull. The air suddenly grew cold and heavy. Silence fell, as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting. Ethan swallowed hard, trying to keep calm. "Maybe it belonged to the people who were here before us. They could have been unlucky and met with an accident." The group nodded quietly, but no one truly believed it was just an ordinary mishap. The tension spread among them, but their determination and greed didn't let them give up so easily. The small bits of gold they had found that day had sparked hope for a better life, and for that, they forced themselves to push aside their fear and continue. That evening, After hours of hard work, they had gathered a decent amount of gold. Laughter returned, filling the air and easing some of the fear that the skull had brought. They sat around the campfire, grilling meat and sharing in the small joy they had found. Yet, deep down, an unease lingered, hiding beneath the temporary happiness. As night fell and everyone drifted off to sleep, it seemed peace had returned. But not for everyone. Ben started having nightmares. In his dreams, the stream was no longer clear. It had turned blood red, and glowing blue skulls began rising to the surface, a haunting blue glow. The skulls floated eerily, and from them came chilling screams as if echoing from the depths of hell. "Give us back the gold! Give us back the gold!" The deafening screams echoed, followed by skeletons rising from the water. They marched out of the stream, advancing toward Ben with their hollow, menacing eyes. Each step they took sent water splashing, and their glowing green eyes lit up the night. "Give us back the gold," they chanted in unison, stepping closer and closer to Ben. His body froze. He couldn't move, couldn't scream. As they drew nearer, he felt the terror creep into every cell of his body, as if he were trapped in a nightmare with no escape. And then, with a jolt of terror, Ben woke up. Drenched in sweat, his heart racing. He gasped for breath, feeling like he had just experienced something beyond imagination. The campfire had burned down to embers, and his friends were still fast asleep. But the whispers from his dream lingered in his mind. "Give us back the gold." Mrs. Margaret, with her deep, knowing eyes, began to tell the story she had heard from the elders in the region when she was young. Her voice softened, as if she feared the very story might awaken whatever still lingered in the ancient forest. "Those skeletons. They're not just victims of some random accident," Mrs. Margaret said in a steady, yet eerily cold tone to Jason. "They are spirits that couldn't move on. People who came before them, driven by the same lust for gold, but in their greed they slaughtered each other, drowning in blood and betrayal." Jason remained silent, unable to speak. Her words cut into his mind like a sharp knife, stirring up deep, hidden fears. "The stream where they're panning for gold," she continued, locking eyes with Jason. "That's where the massacre happened. The ones who came before lost their minds. They killed each other over mere scraps of gold, and their souls never found peace. The skulls Ben saw weren't a figment of his imagination. They are the spirits of those who demand back what they believe is theirs. But why? Why would they kill each other just for gold?" Jason asked softly, his voice trembling. Mrs. Margaret shrugged, as if she had heard the question too many times. "Greed, child. Gold can drive men mad. They stop recognizing their friends, their comrades. All they see is the gold, and anyone who stands in their way becomes an enemy." Jason frowned, struggling to grasp the eerie tale. But the terror was far from over. As Ben tried to calm down and fall asleep, another nightmare unfolded, this time for Lily. It was as if an unseen force had taken control of her, making her walk like someone in a trance. In the dead of night, she quietly drifted away from the group's camp, heading deeper upstream. Her small figure merged with the shadows until only the soft sound of the flowing water remained. When she reached the deepest part of the stream, Lily didn't hesitate to step in. The clear water, reflecting the moonlight like a mirror, concealed the secrets lying beneath. She slowly sank into the still water, as if searching for something only she could understand. As a new day dawned, rays of light pierced through the thick canopy of trees. But when everyone awoke, they realized Lily was gone. Panic spread through the group, and they frantically searched for her, calling her name in desperation. "Lily, Lily?" Their voices echoed through the surrounding woods, but all they received in return was eerie silence. Sadness crept into their hearts. The entire day passed fruitlessly, with no sign of her. "She's probably not coming back," Ben sighed, his voice heavy with defeat. A sense of helplessness weighed down on him. It was then he decided to tell the others about the strange dream he had the night before. A nightmare filled with haunting images of shadowy figures emerging from the water. But he hadn't dared to wake them, fearing that revealing the grim truth would only drive them into further panic. Ben's mind was burdened, but he couldn't shake the thought that Lily might have encountered something horrifying in the depths of the stream. Could she have heard the voices calling from the spirits below? Was she lost to the depths? Or was she simply caught in an endless dream? This question haunted Ben, preventing him from tearing his gaze away from the flowing stream, where mysteries awaited. That night, everyone gathered around the fire, the flickering light reflecting off their weary faces. They discussed trying for a few more days to recover some gold before leaving this place. An air of anxiety hung over them. Everyone felt they couldn't stay by this haunted stream much longer. They needed to leave before things worsened. As night fell and it grew late, Ben suddenly saw Ethan appear with glowing red eyes, as if possessed by some force. He moved closer to Alex and Ben, gripping a shovel tightly, aiming straight at Alex with the intent to attack. "Don't, Ethan!" But he showed no signs of stopping. Alex screamed in panic and rolled aside to dodge the blow. "Ben, he's gone mad." But Ethan seemed deaf to their pleas, swinging his weapon with deadly intent. In sheer terror, Ben noticed Ethan's eyes burning bright, as if fire blazed within. "Run, Alex, he's lost it," Ben shouted, his heart racing. In the darkness, under the moonlight, the brothers were chased by Ethan. They found themselves with no escape. Despair and fear surged within them. Yet in a moment of panic, Ben instinctively struck Ethan on the head with a stick, an act of self-defense born from survival instinct. "No!" Alex yelled as he saw blood trickling from Ethan's head. He collapsed to the ground, eyes wide open, but breathless. "What just happened? What is this?" Alex cried out, his voice filled with terror and despair. Silence enveloped the forest, broken only by the wind rustling through the trees. Terrible things had occurred, and they didn't know what to do next. The horrifying truth they had just witnessed felt like a never-ending nightmare, forcing them to confront the ghosts of both the past and present. Their lives would never return to what they once were, and the spirits lingered around them like shadows that couldn't be shaken off. That night, the brothers Alex and Ben decided that with the meager amount of gold they had collected, enough to invest in a farm, they would discuss leaving this cursed place the following morning. After burying Ethan, they would not stay here any longer. Worry filled their eyes, but they understood that this decision was necessary. "Who knows? The next could be us," Ben whispered, sending chills down Alex's spine. They prepared for their departure, but things did not go as planned. That night, upstream, a torrential rain poured down, dark clouds rolling in, accompanied by booming thunder. In just one night, the water level rose dramatically. The once gentle stream turned ferocious, transforming into a raging torrent of murky water that threatened to engulf everything. "Ben, wake up!" Alex shouted, but his voice was swallowed by the roar of the rushing water. They had no time to prepare for the flood that swept everything away, and in an instant, they were submerged in the violent waters. Time seemed to stand still, and in those dark moments, they realized their journey had ended in a nightmare. All hope, dreams of a bright future, and the will to survive were suddenly washed away, swept away in the cold water. They had sought freedom, but the price was too high. The restless souls continued to exist in the darkness, waiting for the next lost souls to come to them. Jason sat silently, fear and shock filling him at what Mrs. Margaret had just recounted. She continued her story in a melodic tone, as if each word she spoke bore the weight of pain and mystery. In that golden stream, the wails still echo every night, sounds like cries of lament from the lost souls. Those who sought gold with dreams of a better life, but every dream has turned into tragedy. They were brave people. Yet, when they ventured deep into the forest, they became tiny creatures beneath the grandeur of the treacherous mountains, with mysteries lurking all around. It is said that the gold in the mountains belongs to the guardian souls. They do not allow anyone to take even a little away. The greedy have come here, carrying hopes and dreams, but they only receive punishment from those souls. Their ambitious dreams were buried with the sacred mountain, leaving no trace behind. Jason listened, a chill rising within him. These horrifying tales were not just legends. They served as a warning for anyone daring to step foot in this place. The boy pondered over the hopeless screams that resonated from the deep mountains and forests. These thoughts gripped his mind tightly. Like cold winds sweeping into his soul,